Carl and Lou here from Brrraains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial.com for short. And it's track by track time as we take a look at the second studio album of Slipknot. We've chosen to do this one because as of the time of recording, Joey Jordison, famous drummer of Slipknot, well, past drummer of Slipknot, guitarist in Murder Dolls, and a few other bands. I know you'd had a few other bands going on here and there, has passed away at age 46 and seemingly of natural causes. Just died in his sleep from what the reports seem to suggest.
But he did have something, didn't he? He had, I've forgotten the name
I can't remember either. It was
of MS, I think it was.
Yeah, it impacted his drumming and was the reason or part of the reason why he left Slipknot, I believe.
And he had, I think then he had quite intensive therapy to physio and managed to start playing again, which is obviously really good. But I don't know if when I looked into it, when I googled the actual illness, it said it breaks up into quarter people it impacts your life a little bit. Fourth people they just continue to deteriorate. So it's quite a horrible sounding illness that he had.
Yeah, and of course, before we kind of get into this, we chose to do this because it was kind of like, well, we've already done a track by track of the Slipknot debut full length album, self-titled, maybe a year or so ago with me and Brendan. So it felt like, okay, well, let's do another Slipknot album, but choose what, for me, has always been my favourite Slipknot album because it has some of my favourite songs on it for sure. Obviously, the band themselves don't exactly love this album, or at least love the period of time when they was recording it themselves.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I mean, the thing about I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, Joey Jordison was the best drummer ever, or this, that, whatever. I never really thought that. It's not even so much the sort of thing I think now. I think it's kind of irrelevant. It's simply irrelevant in this context, in that he was one of the world's best drummers, and had a huge impact on my musical taste through his impact in Slipknot. And that's enough. What you end up, you get this thing and start getting debates on the internet, when someone dies, obviously they're put on a pedestal and, it can get a bit silly from both ends, where some people want to be, what's the word, want to be controversial and push back and stuff like that. And it's just like, you know what, just let people have their moment.
Let people remember him how they want to remember him. I found myself listening to the drums, focusing on drums a lot more, listening back to this now, having that in mind.
Yeah, I think...
I was like, oh wow, you really do pay attention to what his drumming brought to Slipknot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we've all, if I've seen them, I've been lucky enough to catch them live with Joey drumming back in the day as well. So there's that aspect of things. But, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, he's the greatest musician. I didn't like Murder Dolls. I quite enjoyed them.
They were quite fun. I got to know them a couple of times as well. I quite enjoyed them.
But he's had an impact on metal and people's lives, including musicians as well. Slipknot obviously put all dark pictures of their profiles and stuff like that. And in those comments, people are starting to pissing you off. They're like, oh, he wasn't even in a band anymore. You didn't care that much. And it's like, don't be dickheads like that.
Just let them do their own.
Of course, they're going to be fucking hurting.
But then, the videos they showed, it shows all the music, so angry and aggressive. But when they showed little clips and videos,
the little tribute video they did,
videos,
the 9-minute one. I watched that. It was really, really sort of sad. It's quite because this is their brother in many, many regards, and that's gonna hit all of them hard. They're older, wiser, and so on, that kind of thing. You don't know what's going on in their personal lives. People start trying to make presumptions and things like that. I felt bad for I felt sorry for Wednesday 13. Obviously, he would have been quite close with Joey as well, and just anyone, his entire family and things like that. Slipknot had a big impact on my music. They were at the time when I was getting new metal and all that kind of thing, Slipknot. There was so much of that kind of blew me away at the time. And I can tell you exactly where I bought Iowa on record, and I can tell you exactly where I bought it.
Really?
That's how much I remember this album. I bought it in a W.H. Smith, because Iowa was successful in Slipknot in Orpington.
Metal!
In Orpington on a break from college.
Did you buy some cheap chocolate at the till as well?
Well, that's all I remember. I just remember where I bought it, and I bought it on lunch at college in Orpington. So I
think I nicked it off my brother. He had it, and I was like, right, thief, because that's how I was getting more into metal through my dad and my brother listened to more new metal than me. He was big into Mudvayne and all that kind of stuff. So I think I just poached it.
It's strange though, because I wouldn't call this a new metal album, not Iowa.
No.
No,
not compared to what we've reviewed before, and it's like, wow, that was new metal.
Yeah, I mean, it was released August 28th, 2001, produced by Ross Robinson and Slipknot, obviously that relationship. The title derives from the band's home state, Iowa, which members have stated is one of their greatest sources of inspiration. There was a ton of anticipation for this album following the success of the 1999 self-titled debut, so pressure was in the band was high, and their relationships with each other suffered and was later described as the darkest time of their career.
And I think it's reflected in the album. It does sound pretty harsh and...
I think it does reflect. There's a savagery to this one.
Yeah, it just kind of, when you hear stories about like that, you think, okay, it does make sense. And Iowa, I don't know, is Iowa quite bleak? Because it sounds like if it's based on Iowa.
I don't know the state well, but from what I understand, it's like lots and lots of country, lots and lots of nothing. That's from what I understand, you know. But I don't want to talk about a state I don't know and run it down if someone's going to sit there and say, I'm from Iowa and we've got this going on and we got that going on, you know. But the perception has always been literally, if you were young, a teenager and all that, you lived in Iowa or parts of Iowa, I guess, because towns and stuff, they were obviously from Des Moines. Maybe there was literally a one-horse town kind of situation, but I don't know. We're going to get into the album now as well. So, as was the norm and has been the norm, we have an introduction. This is brackets 515, close brackets. Cool and for me, a cool, horrifying intro of rumbling effects and guttural screams. It kind of, it's that kind of guttural screaming that's quite distant from Corey Taylor in this that kind of fits. I don't think it's like as good as the intro from the debut, the one with all the numbers, but it's just an intro, you know, there's nothing to it.
Yeah, just a bit of feedbacky kind of almost, and the weird effects to kind of bring into it. Yeah.
And then we kick into People Equal Shit, and this is still to date my favourite Slipknot song. For me, it's just a pure aggression, wild and furious. The vocal chorus, the battery instruments, it's a brutal, brutal song. It's one where, like, if you're pissed off with the world, a track like this is your soundtrack to that. Not just because of the lyrical content, but just just how constant barring is. You get this part in it where it's doon and slows down, and it starts to build up with the drums, doon, and it kicks in that boom, boom, and like that shit is insane.
It just makes me think of it live.
It's just so fucking crazy. I disagree. This isn't. I've seen this played live, but this is not a regular rotated Slipknot live
it should be
song.
though. I do love hearing
there
it
are
live.
other songs on it that are way more like, I'm like, oh yeah, that thing makes me think of live, but not People Equal Shit.
No, definitely. It makes me miss live music. Listen to songs like that because just the aggression of it.
It is. I mean, to date, it's still my favourite Slipknot song. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's definitely there for me as well. Yeah, it's a good opening track. If you're opening your album, we're back. This is Iowa. Here you go.
Yeah, and like the People Equal Shit and the statements and the way it's sung and shouted and all that. I think it's quite oh wow. Like if you were going into this album and like, oh, are they still as heavy or aggressive or whatever, this answered that question.
Yeah.
A disaster piece. I find this a bit of a come down after that, but it's still quite nice and furious. The build and eruption of percussion is awesome. I think Corey really sounds great here, and lyrically I think it's quite savage, some of the things he's saying. I actually like the bits where several band members are shouting words, but it's inharmoniously. Like there's no harmony here. It's like they're all just shouting almost 1 second out of time with each other, and I actually really like that. It sounds chaotic.
Yeah, I like it, but not, like you said, it's after People Equal Shit, it loses a little bit.
It's a little bit of a come down.
Yeah. And for some reason, there are certain songs which make you think of certain things. For some reason, I kept on thinking of, Brick, when he says loud noises.
Yep.
People make noises, and I just can't help but think of Brick. It's really stupid, I know, but no, just one of them songs.
She means Brick from Anchor Man.
Anchorman, yeah.
Steve Carell's character, in case you're wondering who the fuck's Brick.
Everyone knows Brick is.
Not necessarily. Not everyone loves Will Ferrell. My Plague. Hilariously, a track this heavy is also one of the most commercial ones from this album, simply for two reasons. In my opinion, the chorus and its use in the Resident Evil movie. It was part of this soundtrack, and the video obviously had parts of the movie Resident Evil cut into it. For me, I'm not that big of a fan because of the chorus. It's very clean, and that isn't something I love. Although the riffs are very good, it's a catchy groover. It makes me think of live, thinks of London Arena, where I was. It really, really does capture all of that. But, and here's the thing, clean Slipknot has never been my jam. I don't mind it here and there, but when it's That the chorus, I know what, I
really love this song.
it really kind of just pains me a little bit. But then there's like the drop off after that chorus, and you know, that shit's great.
Yeah, because it's really chunky in it.
Yeah,
Really
you know.
kicks back in
So
again.
it's kind of like a middle one for me, where I really like parts of it, and there's just the chorus I don't really get into. Yeah.
So I really like this song.
Yep, fair
really,
enough.
A real big hitter for me. And there's like the line in it, is it, you fucking touch me, I'll rip you apart.
Yep.
I love when he sings that. Because that just like, say if you're feeling like really...
Yeah, that's the like the pre-chorus, the bridge, you know, that kind of part, yeah.
I really love that in it. So yeah, big favourite of my one, with me.
Fair enough. Everything ends. Those opening lyrics are so depressing. Again, this is a track that is all about tempo, and again, the percussion is doing a ton of work here. It's fast, it's furious, it's thoroughly enjoyable. I like this one.
Really like this one. Just like you said, when he just kicks him just with Corey, like,
Yeah.
you're all fucked and overrated. It's like, yeah, this is going to be good.
This is the end of... Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and you kind of get that rolling drum. Yeah, absolutely. The Heretic Anthem. This is another one that I always remember liking when I was younger.
Yeah.
And it's truth be told, I hadn't listened to it for a while. All I remembered before I hit play was the chorus. If you 5, 5, 5, and then the 6. And I wasn't too sure I was going to enjoy that because that sounds dumb as fuck. If you're 5, 5, 5, then I'm 6, 6, 6.
I still like it.
What? However, the chorus is it is fire.
Yeah.
This is great. I love the group part of the chorus. When it's all of the 6, 6, like that part. That shit is where. That's always what I loved about Slipknot when I was younger. It was the ability to be able to record and create a piece of music that still sounded like you were making it up on the spot. And that's so, you know, you're recording that and someone decided. They all just start screaming in the background, and you're like, yeah, that just fucking works.
Just keep
yeah,
going
and
with
it
it.
worked, and it fitted, and the structure didn't change. Yeah, that shit's fire.
And it's the one you can picture live as well. Because we've seen it live. Like,
Yeah.
you know, everyone's the crowd getting into the 5, 5, 5, 6, 6, 6 part.
Of course, yeah, it's a banger, yeah.
Yeah. And then next one.
Gently. It's a shift in tone, which is actually kind of welcome at this stage, I will say. Simply because we had somebody kind of heavy, frantic one so far. And the dark tone that increases here does excite. The effects I found to be quite horror-based. And I actually like that when I thought it might erupt, because I couldn't really remember this one that well. When I thought it might erupt, it didn't. And you kind of end up waiting ages for that explosion. It's a bit evil, a bit nasty. I don't mind this one.
Yeah, kind of, like you said, it builds up and you think, oh, it's going to really kick in. It's like, no.
No, it's still going and going.
It's like a wave almost. It makes me think of waves.
Yeah, it's got that whole anticipation thing where you kind of like reach a breaking point and you're like, okay, now we'll go. Right, yeah.
Yeah, I really do. I like that one as well. And so it does need a bit of a break in pace.
Just something, just a bit of a shift, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Then we get Left Behind, which is obviously a major single from it. And I wasn't looking forward to this one, because this one as well, I'm like, shit, this was overplayed as hell back in the day. But the moment that kicks in, I was like, oh shit, this is great. This is a banger. It's heavy, headbanger energy with killer drumming. This is where I really noticed Joey's drumming, that kind of thing, you know? And some of that, well, let's be honest, this is the track like a few others on here, and like later on with songs like Psychosocial and all that. And what's the... Duality, thank you. Where you have that Slipknot catchiness. Where, incredibly, it's heavy, it's brutal, it's savage, it's got all of that thing. But you're like, oh...
It's accessible.
This is... Well, accessible, yeah.
To metal fans.
Yeah.
It's not like to your average pop fan. It's got to go,
No, but
really
I get what you're saying. Not so much to enjoy it, but they would at least surely hear the rrhythm.
Yeah.
And that's kind of cool. I really like Left Behind. I do still really like it.
I always remember the video when he's pouring out cereal and he's got like almost like sludgy water and the kids are like bullying him and throwing.
I only remember the rainy outside parts. I can only ever picture the pouring rain in the woods and the banging him into and the splashes. I don't remember those parts.
The kids pull up to his house. They like
Oh,
chuck
really?
stones through his windows. He's eating cereal, but like he pours like sends a tap on. It's all like sludge on his Cheerios or whatever.
Yeah, I remember it being quite a visual treat. The video, like certainly a step up in production quality than something like Spit It Out. You know, from the earlier album, which had that cheap kind of B-movie feel to it.
But we noticed the same thing on that one as well. Like I said, definitely feels like an evolution in their sound already.
Yeah.
Like, this is kind of where it's going more and more.
Yeah, because I will note as well at this point, while they're there, this album is not as effects and decks and all of that heavy. Now, that will become a bit more prominent in songs near the end.
Yeah.
Because I do think this album is an album maybe of two halves, potentially.
Yeah,
There's a lot of bangers near the front, not so many near the end. And certainly when it comes to singles and stuff like that. But yeah, there's definitely an evolution. Absolutely. The Shape, for me, this is one of the more forgettable offerings on the album. But it's not one that I think you necessarily should overlook because of that, because it has flashes, in particular with the chorus heavy parts.
Yeah, so I like the echoey. I like the echoey effect on the chorus bit, and like I said before, it's another part of improvising. Not improvising, that's the word. Just going with what happens.
Yeah, like
So
almost
I
just
like
seeing
that.
what happens. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I Am Hated. I like the straightforward and short blast of what I describe here as old school Slipknot within this one. I think this song could have been on a self-titled and it would not stand out as being odd on that album. Like if it had been on that album. The effects are a bit jarring here and there, and I'm not a big fan of the layered vocal effects, but this isn't a terrible song. It's not a great song.
Yeah, same. Not my favourite. Still a strong track. I think I need like another breather track to break it up. So I kind of like the idea of having like that kind of shift in tone again.
Okay.
But,
well, you are going to get one eventually.
Yeah.
Skin Ticket. Now, this is where we start to enter longer Slipknot territory. And I'll be honest, when I see lengthy Slipknot tracks, I tend to think, okay, this could be interesting. I know they're capable of it. I know they can do different things. And I'm a big fan of the extra oomph the drums have here. It's, I describe it like a war drum. Like the percussion here.
Yeah.
But this is a very confused track. It's all over the place for me. I like the eruptions of noise, and Corey sounds particularly pained at times.
Yeah.
Like quite raw. But truth be told, I wouldn't go out of my way to hear this one again.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit more stripped back. I like the contrast between the vocals and the drums really kicking in. I do like that kind of change and shift in tone.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, this album, towards the end, it's not as strong for me.
Yeah, agreed. New Abortion. I do really like this one. The opening effects and MIDI guitars make it sound like a beast hunting you. Then the savagery as it reaches and starts to rip and tear.
Yeah, so I didn't really care for this one.
I didn't mind this one.
Didn't do much for me. Felt a bit fillery. I don't know. I just didn't care for this one as much.
Okay.
That's just me.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
For me, it's more in line with the ferocity that's found at the tracks at the start. The clean parts in this are brief and kind of unobtrusive. So for me, I don't really, it's, again, these aren't ones that I think I'll be coming back to.
Yeah.
If I was like, I'm going to put some Slipknot songs on a playlist and going for stuff at the start.
Yeah.
Metabolic. Quality percussion. This is a headbanger and a pit starter. That's all I put. And I only put a little bit about Metabolic because I knew what was coming next.
So this is like really fast and furious start. The drums feel like they're climbing, and I really like the layered vocals.
Okay.
I'm keen on that one. Yeah.
Which brings us to the final track, and it is it's the title track. It's Iowa. 15 minutes. And I was like, okay. And I'm not bored with that length. I'm not. But overall, found myself quite pleasantly surprised by this one.
Yeah.
It's experimental, if I'm honest. It's experimental while still having the Slipknot feel and taste. Dark and twisted. It's a slow burn of a track. That should much be obvious when you see 15 minutes. And I think it's worth getting through a lot of the repetition just to get to that blistering part in the latter portion. Just about.
Yeah.
Like, just about worth getting through that repetition and slow burn and build and stuff like that. I thought I'd be bored. I wasn't. So that's why I say I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I feel like it's a nice conclusion. So it feels like it's kind of got the elements of this album. It kind of ties up quite a lot of this album, and it fits. So like, the whole time, the album's called Iowa. And obviously, it goes from start to finish. I like the change in the effects. It feels ominous.
True, has got that feel. Yeah.
It doesn't leave you going away going, I feel really cheerful now. It doesn't end on a chipper note, does it?
No, there's nothing about this album that has that.
Quite bleak.
Yeah.
It feels like a good conclusion to such a frantic album.
Okay, cool.
So I was happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I don't think there's a bad song on the album. I think that's quite important. I think there's a couple that you're just like, yeah, fine.
Yeah.
And then move on. But I think majority weight towards the good to great
sort
of area. So that's great.
I enjoyed this re-listen. I really did.
Yeah, so did I. So then your top three, I think, will be quite similar here.
Oh, really? Okay. People Equal Shit.
Yep.
Everything Ends.
Okay.
And My Plague.
Okay, turns out we're not. People Equal Shit, agreed. I have the Heretic Anthem and I've got Left Behind. For me, there's three great examples of different Slipknot in one album. You've got People Equal Shit, which is just no nonsense.
Yep.
Ferocity, while also speaking and saying words that are designed to make, you know, a boomer go like, you know, like almost like a video nasty in track format.
Yeah.
Then you have the Heretic Anthem, which has that experimental edge where they have that kind of weird chorus and stuff, and it's a sing along live, and it's got the other band members. You got Left Behind to me, which is just here's a great heavy single.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, if you've got any thoughts, please let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?